Welcome, everyone, to the final meeting of 2023. Time is 4 o'clock, and tonight, Ms. Ballmiller will lead us in the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pursuant to the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, adequate and electronic notice of this meeting has been provided by posting on the bulletin board in the Beach Haven Municipal Building, on the Borough website, and mailing the same to the Beach Haven Times, the Asbury Park Press, and the Press of Atlantic City. Mrs. Ballmiller.
Here.
Ms. Lambert.
Here.
Mr. McCaffrey.
Here.
Ms. Snyder.
Here.
Mayor Davis.
Yeah, here.
Thank you. I have minutes for approval without formal reading of November 11th, 2023 regular meeting, the November 21st, 2023 special meeting, and the November 21st, 2023 executive session.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ordinance 2023-35C, an ordinance amending Chapter 74, Sections 15, 16, 17, and 21. Construction codes uniform in the Borough Code of the Borough of Beach Haven, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, to establish an administrative fee for construction subcodes and to establish policies, procedures, and fees for lead paint inspections as required by law. Final reading.
Does anyone on council have any questions or comments regarding this? No.
Nope.
Since this is the final adoption, this will be open to the public for comment. Does anyone in the public wish to speak to this matter? Okay. If not, do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve 2023-35C.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Mrs. Ballmiller.
Yes.
Ms. Lambert.
Yes.
Mr. McCaffrey.
Yes.
Ms. Snyder.
Yes.
Mayor Davis.
Yes.
Ordinance 2023-36C, an ordinance amending and replacing Chapter 163 Sewer of the Code of the Borough of Beach Haven, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, to codify necessary amendments and to memorialize the creation of a sewer utility, to put in place a comprehensive sewer utility chapter establishing rules, regulations, and fees. Final reading.
Again, does anyone on council have anything they wish to ask or comment?
Nope.
Okay. Can I have a motion to approve ordinance 2023-36C?
What's that? Did you open it to the public?
Oh, no, I forgot. Sorry. Since this is a final adoption, the public will be able to speak. Does anyone in the public have anything they'd like to ask or comment on? No? Okay. So I'll ask for a motion to approve.
No one on Zoom.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Thank you. Mrs. Ballmiller.
Yes.
Ms. Lambert.
Yes.
Mr. McCaffrey.
Yes.
Ms. Snyder.
Yes.
Mayor Davis.
Yes.
Ordinance 2023-37C, an ordinance amending Chapter 204 Water of the Borough Code of the Borough of Beach Haven, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, to delay quarterly payment deadlines by 30 days. Final reading.
Again, does anyone on council have any questions or comments?
No.
No.
If not, does anyone in the public or on Zoom have anything they'd like to say about this? If not, I will ask for a motion to approve 2023-37C.
I make that motion.
Second.
Mrs. Ballmiller.
Yes.
Ms. Lambert.
Yes.
Mr. McCaffrey.
Yes.
Ms. Snyder.
Yes.
Mayor Davis.
Yes.
Ordinance 2023-38, an ordinance of the Borough of Beach Haven adopting the redevelopment plan for Block 205, lots 1 and 2 within the Borough of Beach Haven, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey. Final reading.
Does anyone on council have anything they'd like to say about this before we open it up to the public?
Yes, excuse me, I do. Obviously, we've been going over this for quite a while. I truly don't feel that this condemnation is necessary at this point in time. And I know, Councilwoman Snyder, you mentioned before that you were kind of relieved after meeting last time that things weren't as dire as originally thought. I mean,
Well, I hope that they're not as dire. We haven't gotten the reports again, but we do have valid proof that there is contamination and plenty of it, and it needs to be remediated, and we all agreed upon that. And the thing that I said was I was willing, based upon a conversation I had with our LSRP, that he kind of talked me off the ledge of it being like so immediate that it wouldn't, I was really willing, of course, and I mentioned this at our meeting, to let this go until February 1st to give Pence's and the cooks time to get more ducks in a row and to do the things that we discussed, basically the sale and et cetera. But now that we have found that it is the end of our calendar year and we can't straddle 2 years, I don't see, unfortunately, I think that we're not, I think I'm going to vote for it tonight because of that. I wasn't willing to, I didn't hear anything to say there's nothing going on and there's no risk to him, to public health. But I was, just willing to wait a little bit longer. But that was before I realized that we couldn't straddle the calendar year. And adopting this redevelopment plan will allow the borough to enter into an agreement with the current owners, as we know, and ensure that they're moving forward with the remediation of the property, even though I trust that they will. And make sure that it's happening in an agreed upon timeline, which we still haven't received. And, knowing that the borough will provide its support, I know that I would, and we will not exercise our authority to acquire the property. I have to trust our professionals. And in this situation, I know that without a plan in place, that no agreement can be entered into, according to what we've been told. And that's where I am.
Okay, thank you. I'm just curious because you brought that up last time. I think the opportunity to not straddle the year, but start all over was a good place to begin. We know there's an issue. We know there's problems. Everybody agrees on it. The extent, we're still waiting and all that. I thought this was a good opportunity to delay and get together and re-examine all that's going on.
Well, I hear what you're saying. And, if we knew it was only going to be another month or two until we have this final timeline and, aggressive remediation or cleanup, I would consider it, but I don't see that happening. We haven't had any proof of that. I do trust that we're, that the partners are attempting to figure it out, but I just don't feel that it's being rushed. And I think possibly if we wait until next year, there's only going to be a longer period of uncertainty for the property owners. And an additional cost to the borough, lots of different reasons. And I don't know, I'd love to hear the other council members' comments on this, but that's how I feel. And it's not an easy decision. It's a very difficult decision, but, it's been a very long time and I think we all look forward to it being remediated in a timely fashion. Anyone else?
Okay. We all know that it has to be remediated. My biggest problem with this is the condemnation, and I've always had a problem with that. But I agree, it does have to be remediated. No ifs, ands, buts about it. But as far as the condemnation goes, I have a problem with that.
Anyone else? Right, at this time, since final adoption, it will be open for public comment or comments from those on the Zoom. At this time, if you would like to come forward and make a comment, please do so and state your name and address, and remember that it's a 3-minute limitation. Anyone?
Hello again, Mary Lee Pence, 314 Bradley Avenue. I mean, for what it's worth, one last time, we are really trying to communicate with you. We're trying to be open. We're trying to be responsive. I just got the confirmation. Thank you, Sherry, that the town does want to meet with us again in January. I've communicated that. You know, it's just disappointing, I think, to, you know, be trying to be open and trying to communicate, and being told certain things along the way as we're trying to foster this communication that don't turn out to be true. It's disappointing to hear that it can't cross the calendar year, because I think the information that you're looking for, you're going to have very soon. But, you know, we're doing this as a good faith effort to try and communicate. It's a difficult position to be in on both sides, but, you know, we're trying here. And this is just really, really frustrating for me, my entire family that we have drug out to this meeting. So I just ask that you guys really think about continuing to press forward as we're trying to work with you. Nobody wanted to be in the position that we are now. My parents are 80 years old. And they're suing the town that they live in because that was the only option that we had. It's not what anybody wanted to do. And I'm confident. I mean, I think we had a very productive meeting on December 7th. We're looking forward to having another productive meeting on January 11th with other members of the council, with our LSRPs whose expertise we should be relying on. But, you know, it's a really frustrating spot to stand, and I get it. No one's saying we're not going to do what we've committed to do. But, you know, I think just to continue to press forward is just frustrating for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Lee. Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Margie Carnival on West Avenue. I don't know if I'm allowed to ask you a question. Why can't this go over to next year and get everything done then?
It's legal. Well, we could ask our counsel, Ms. Givens, if you could comment on that. But typically, this is not a back and forth, but in this situation, I think it's a good idea for you to understand the reasoning.
Sure. It's just like any in Congress, it's a legislative session. And so all action that begins in one calendar year, one legislative session, must be completed in that same calendar year. Does that make sense?
Sort of. I just don't understand if you have a relationship with these people. I can't see you, so I don't know who I'm talking to. And they're getting stuff done in as fast as they can. Why can't we work along with them? Doesn't make sense to me.
It is a state statute, legislative requirements under state law that any legislative action by a governing body be begun and completed in the same calendar year. If it's not completed, then we have to begin anew. And so then we would have to start over in 2024. And that's
Okay.
what they were referring to.
And why does that word have to be put in?
Thank you, Emily.
You're welcome, Sherry.
Not gonna answer me. I think everybody in town is concerned with the word.
Yeah, I understand that's the concern. Their condemnation is not being authorized. The borough is not authorized at this point to take the property until this is adopted. And then there are additional steps that would have to be taken in order for anyone to condemn the property and take it from the Pences or the Cooks. That process is nowhere on the horizon. I can tell you from my conversations with the borough that the hope is to enter into an agreement that is only authorized after a redevelopment plan is adopted. Borough will not be in position, but we can't discuss it any further because of the litigation that Ms. Pence mentioned.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Margie. Mr. Cook.
It's Chuck Cook at 2705 Atlantic Avenue and 6th Planning Run Road. I think this legislation could be pushed forward and you just restart again next year after you hear what we have to say, which is what you said you were going to do, and now you're not doing it. On the 11th, the LSRP is a meeting and our LSRP is coming in with a timeline and a schedule. Now, if you people can't live with that and move forward and push this till next year, so it costs a few more bucks. It's cost us $100,000 in litigation with you people. You're on taxpayer bill. You're not, we're not, fine. A piece of that of our bill goes to you and to pay for these fees, but ours comes out of our pocket. So that's a big consideration. I wish you would table this. And if you have to reintroduce it next year after you say, oh, geez, they're not doing what they said they were going to do. But I promise you we are, and our LSRP will sit down and tell you exactly what he's doing at that meeting with the two LSRPs present, who are really the only people who can talk with clarity on this issue. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm Ann Fullerton, 379 South 3rd Street, Surf City, New Jersey. Mary Lee's sister. I think the concern here is that this part of the ordinance got pushed through very quickly. If it weren't for people in town letting my sister and I know, and the diligence of my sister following all the meetings and when the ordinances would get passed, this would have gotten through very quickly and quietly. My parents didn't receive anything in the mail. They got a phone call. As Mary Lee pointed out, they're 80 years old. They're not in great health. And so this was really a surprise. So I think you'll understand when we say that we don't really trust that you're not going to condemn it, right? They are doing what they have. We pay for experts who are the LSRPs. We have a New Jersey DEP that really are the experts on, what is safe for public health and what is not. If they thought that there was an immediate danger to public health, why would they not be taking action now? Right? So we are following the rules. We're doing this in accordance. We have a schedule that we're working on that they're going to bring up at this meeting that's in January. I think we're doing everything we can. These are not easy problems, right? That's why we pay people who are not only trained as engineers, but trained specifically in this kind of remediation, so they know the ins and outs, what is acceptable, what is not, and we're working within that. So I think, yes, straddling the next year, taking a step back with a plan, and if we're not working, in accordance with that plan next year, sure. But we also agree that the land needs to be remediated, right? No one is arguing that. We want to get this cleaned up. We want to pass this along to someone who will take this property and do something good for the town with. And we're just looking for you to work with us, right? So thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone on Zoom? Anyone else in the audience? Okay, and at this time, I would ask for a motion to approve 2023-38.
So moved.
Second,
Mrs. Ball Miller,
Yes.
Ms. Lambert,
No.
Mr. McCaffrey,
No,
Ms. Snyder,
Yes,
Mayor Davis.
yes,
Ordinance 2023-39C, an ordinance amending and replacing Chapter 120 licenses, Article 3, scrap metal, precious metals, and other secondhand goods of the Code of the Borough of Beach Haven, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, to comply with Ocean County Prosecutor's directive to update regulations and fees pertaining to pawn, scrap metal, and secondhand property dealers and allowing law enforcement to search, flag, hold, and set alarms for stolen property. Final reading.
Does anyone on council have anything they wish to say about this?
No.
No? Okay. Since it is final adoption, we will open it up to public comment. Does anyone on Zoom or in the public have anything they'd like to say? No? And I'll call for a motion to approve 2023-39C. I'll make a motion.
Second.
Mrs. Ball Miller,
Yes.
Ms. Lambert,
Yes.
Mr. McCaffrey,
Yes.
Ms. Snyder,
Yes.
Mayor Davis.
Yes.
All matters listed under item consent agenda are considered to be routine by the municipal council and will be enacted by one motion in the form listed. Any items requiring expenditure are supported by a certification of availability of funds, and any item requiring discussion will be removed from the consent agenda and discussed separately. All consent agenda items will be reflected in full in the minutes. Resolution 224 is recognizing the library as a museum. Resolution 235, awarding a contract to Hunter Truck Sales through the Sourcewell National Cooperative System. Resolution 240, approving an expenditure in an amount not to exceed $74,300 for the purchase of a 2023 Chevrolet Tahoe for the police department. Resolution 241, approving the Beach Haven Emergency Operations Plan. 242, approving an expenditure in an amount not to exceed, I have to update this amount. Sorry, I believe the new amount is 55,400 for the purchase of a Space Saver Mechanical Assist Mobile Storage System for the Amber Street Records Room. Resolution 243, approving employment contracts for various employees, Markowski, Metal, Carson, Bunce, Klein, and Mandy Johnson, our tax assessor. 244, amending an employment agreement with Shari Bowler. 245, amending an employment agreement with Steve Letts. 246, approving membership to the Beach Haven Volunteer Fire Company and the New Jersey State Firemen's Association. 247, canceling water charges. 248, canceling tax sales certificate and refunding tax premiums. 249s, requesting permission for a dedication by a rider for lead paint hazard inspection fees. 250, authorizing the CFO to cancel grant appropriation reserves against grant receivables, surplus and other accounts. 251 is budget transfers. 252 is acknowledging the hiring of a records support technician for the police department. 253, acknowledging the hiring of a laborer for the Department of Public Works. 254 is authorizing a refund of a tax overpayment. 255, acknowledging the hiring of a part-time violations clerk for the court. 256, refunding water overpayment. 257, refunding tax overpayment. And finally, 258, creating the position of full-time library director and appointing Jane DeHaven.
Thank you. I would like to remove 22-4-2023 to discuss separately.
Okay,
Does anyone else wish to remove any additional resolutions for further discussion?
No.
And at this time, I'd like to call for a motion to approve the resolutions minus 224-2023.
okay.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second,
Mrs. Ball Miller,
Yes.
Ms. Lambert,
Yes.
Mr. McCaffrey,
Yes.
Ms. Snyder,
yes.
Mayor Davis.
Yes.
So now you're going to look at 224-2023, recognizing the library as a museum.
Yeah, and I wanted to discuss it separately because I wanted to go ahead and read the resolution that actually Ms. Baumiller crafted for us and did a really great job. So I just thought it was important for the public to hear this, that sometimes you miss what the ordinances, how they're worded, what they say. And I just thought it's important for you to hear it. So a resolution recognizing the Beach Haven Free Public Library as a museum. Whereas the history of Beach Haven Free Public Library dates back to the 1880s when Dr. Edward Williams gifted books for the borough's children, which was first housed in the home of Samuel Cooper Waith on Ingleside Avenue. And whereas in 1923, Elizabeth Farrow presented the library's Board of Trustees with a proposal to build entirely at her own expense a new library for the borough to be located on the corner lot which she owned at Third Street and Beach Avenue. And whereas Ms. Farrow engaged R. Brogner Oakey, one of Philadelphia's finest architects, to design the new library. She also invited Charles Edgar Nash, the author of The Lore of Long Beach Island, to discuss his extensive collection of Beach Haven's history. He, along with Elizabeth Farrow, wanted to display these artifacts and documents in a museum, which would be a room on the second floor. Whereas, as the library neared completion in the late fall of 1924, its beauty was already drawing praise as the finest library around. And whereas the history of Beach Haven is intrinsically intertwined with the library, and as such, it is necessary and proper to designate the library as a local museum, which has already amassed treasures of Beach Haven's past. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the borough shall henceforth designate Beach Haven Free Public Library as the Beach Haven Free Public Library and Museum. Be it further resolved that artifacts, oops, and I missed that. Thank you. That be further resolved that artifacts and documents shall be primarily located in a room on the east wall behind the upstairs balcony. And be it further resolved that the library shall designate a museum curator to oversee the museum. I just thought it was important for us to hear this ordinance, to understand that this ordinance will ensure that the museum will be part of the library going into the future and recognize the importance of saving Beach Haven's proud and productive past. From day one in 1924, and since the day it opened 100 years ago, our beautiful library has been open to the public. The purpose of this ordinance is to ensure that this library and museum stay just that way for the next 100 years. Thank you. So at this time, I'd like to have a motion to approve Resolution 224-2023.
So
I'll make a
moved.
motion to approve.
Thank you. Mrs. Ball Miller,
Yes.
Ms. Lambert,
Yes.
Mr. McCaffrey.
Yes.
Ms. Snyder.
Yes.
Mayor Davis.
Yes.
I have a bill list today in the amount of $399,767.33.
Has everyone had a chance? I know we got these late because it's the end of the year, but has everyone had a chance to look over the bills?
Mhm.
Yep.
Call for a motion to approve the bills.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Mrs. Ball Miller.
Yes.
Ms. Lambert.
Yes.
Mr. McCaffrey.
Yes.
Ms. Snyder.
Yes.
Mayor Davis.
Yes.
Under general discussion, starting with ordinance 2024-1C. We're preparing an ordinance to introduce in January to slightly change the fees that we'll be charging for lead-based paint inspections. It was a little more than we originally bargained for, so we'll be amending those. And then in January, we'll also be switching to a private company, Trinity, to be performing our subcode inspections. There's a state requirement that our subcode fees match the state subcode fees. So we're looking to amend those subcode fees to match what the state has. Any questions from council? We will introduce at the first meeting in January, if not.
I asked you about this and I'm confident it's a good idea.
2C would amend zoning by eliminating exceptions to yard widths under permitted modifications and exceptions. Did you want to talk about this one, Jamie?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, okay. So, our zoning laws, sometimes we find exceptions that are outdated. And I found this one when I was sitting on the land use board meeting where the regular front yard setback is 15 feet. So every new home has to have a 15-foot setback, except we have this exception in the zoning law that if someone to the left of you and someone to the right of you that were previously there have less than 15 feet, you can take an average of your left and your right neighbor. Now, this ordinance was useful back, 20, 25 years ago when not everything was being knocked down and replaced every week. So we see a lot of new building taking this exception where eventually the left side and the right side will be taken down also, and then you'll have an uneven sight line from, Beach Ave to Atlantic Ave or Bay Ave to Beach Ave. And it's not useful any longer with the building that is happening now. So it's an exception that needs to be taken out. So we have a consistency of the 15 feet front yard setback. And then if someone does not want to have the 15-foot front yard setback, then they would come to the land use board and then ask for a variance. But for right now, with the building that's happening, we want to keep some consistency with a 15-foot front yard setback.
Are you seeing people taking advantage of this, like asking you?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's, and how did they take advantage of it? By
So-
adding a variance to have more space, more.
No, they're taking, so a new
in the back?
home wouldn't have to have a 15-foot front yard setback if the left side and the right side were homes that were already established that didn't have a 15-foot front yard setback, and they could take an average of the left and the right side. But right now, what is happening is someone will take the exemption and then the house next to it then gets knocked down and then
Right.
they get the exception and then it just needs to
Yeah,
be consistency
see.
for the abundance of
Yeah.
building that we have. Like, we're trying to maintain some type of sight line, when you're looking down the street, you don't want in
Right.
and out, in and out.
Yeah. that
What
seems to make
about in the historical zone? I mean, a lot of the houses in the historical zone are not set back 15 feet. And,
Right.
and to make it look consistent, it is kind of, I can think of places where a house was knocked down in the historical area and it was set down back 15 feet. So it's sort of, I think it doesn't look, it doesn't sort of meet it doesn't look like it's fitting into the historical zone as well in that respect.
Right, and that's why those types of situations would be taken to the land use board. That's exactly what the land use board is for, variances like these. But for the
Okay.
rest of, the Beach Haven, besides how many homes in 124?
I think so.
124 homes, we also have, a lot more homes that are taking this exemption that shouldn't be.
Yeah.
So
And-
that's where we fall.
And from a Historic Preservation Advisory Commission perspective, a new construction would, if, I'm sure that the HPAC would give its approval to the land use, I mean, the only problem is it would cost more money because then you have to get a variance if that's the only thing you're asking for, but 9 times out of 10, it's not just the reason for a variance, so.
Just one question. Are they gonna just move it back to the 15 and that's it?
Right, that's what it
Yeah.
is now. There's this exemption in there
So
that we
then if
just,
the next house comes down and is further out, goes back to 15.
right.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, we're
Well,
like, a lot of these. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, if you're going to write an ordinance in that, I mean, it makes sense, Jamie. I think it makes sense. But maybe there could be something in the ordinance that mentions in the historical, in the zone, the situation is slightly different because you want the houses to look consistent. It might, if that were in the ordinance, it might save some of these people some money. I mean, it is expensive coming to the land use board. It might be something in there in that situation. Just a thought.
Okay.
Well, it's something we can think about and talk about, right?
Exception.
Okay. Thank you, Jamie. And Sherry, you want to?
Anything else? Any other discussion on that one? All right, you want to take one of these and pass it down? Just real quickly, we'll go over the resolutions that you'll be seeing on the reorganization meeting agenda, January 2nd at 4 o'clock. We did put 1C 2024, the one we just discussed about construction code fees, on the agenda for first reading. The very first resolution is the annual meeting notice. The annual meeting notice establishes all of the meeting dates for all of next year. So please take some time to review those, check out your calendar, make sure we don't have any conflicts. We do have a CDBG this year, the Community Development Block Grant this year. So we have 2 meeting dates that we have to call in order to hear ideas and applications for Community Development Block Grant. You'll see that in the annual meeting notice. And the annual meeting notice also names and establishes all of the holidays that are recognized through the personnel department for our municipality. So take a look at those. Number 2 is naming check signers. Number 3, adopting Robert's Rules of Order. Number 4 is acknowledging managerial appointments. That is the Community Development Block Grant appointment, the GIF Fund Commissioner, and the Public Agency Compliance Officer appointments. Those are all myself or Sherry Bowler. Number 5 and number 6 are awarding our professional services contracts. Some are below the pay to play threshold of $17,500, and some are above. I'm going to hand over to Mary Claire just to go quickly through the spreadsheet so everyone is aware of our professionals and what they're proposing for this year.
So the first ones that I'll go over are the professional services contracts that are above the pay to play threshold of $17,500. We have our land use board attorney. We have a new attorney group that we're using this year, Zeller and Wylisco. I'm not sure how to pronounce. Their fees are listed there. Next, we have our redevelopment council and our alternate solicitor, Mally Givens. You can see that their fees have gone up from last year, except their paralegal fees. Next, we have borough solicitor, who's also our labor attorney and also our tax appeal attorney, Cleary, Giacob, Alfieri, and Jacobs, with Bruce Padola being our primary there. There's been an increase in the attorney fees. Next, borough engineer and land use board engineer, same group, Owen Little and Associates. You can see there's been an increase in a significant amount of their fees. Next, bond counsel, Windells, Marks, Lane, and Mittendorf, with John Vitar being our primary contact there. There are no changes to their fees. Next, municipal auditor, Holman Frenia Allison, with Bob Allison being our primary contact there. There are also no changes from the 2023 fees. Finally, for our professional services above the pay to play threshold, the subcode inspection services. This is a new service for us this year. We just already went over that, how they're taking over for us. So these are all new fees. Then our last professional services are those that fall below the pay to play threshold. The first one is our HPAC attorney, Fred Raffetto. There is a slight increase there for his services. Next, we have our appraiser, Henry Mancini, and with the increases marked there. Next, conflict public defender, Brian DeStefano, with no change to his fees. The public defender, Rumpf Law, Deborah Rumpf being our primary there, with no change. Followed by our prosecutor, Sita Fell and Zabarski. Steven Zabarski is our primary there. No change from 2023. Our COA admin agency, Triad, There are a couple new items that they added from the year before, but the other fees have stayed the same. Then we have our COA special counsel, so Serenian, Edwards, and Nolan. And there are some increases there for a few of their services. And then finally, we have an alternate conflict prosecutor that we added kind of mid-year last year, and we're going to put them on this year. Dasty, Murphy, McGuckin, Ulaki, and Connors, with Patrick Varga being our primary there, and there is no change. Does anyone have any questions about any of those listed? No?
Did you want to touch on HPAC appointments? That's the next one.
Sure. So these good guys. The next resolution is just acknowledging managerial appointments for HPAC. We did have an empty seat, a Class A seat, and you have to have a Class A. So Jamie Ciardelli is going to be moved into that position. And because he is moving up, we are we're taking our alternate Denise Tinquist, and she's going to fill the remainder of his Class C term. And then we just, gave new terms to those whose were expiring. So I have everybody listed there: Jamie Ciardelli, Jeanette Lloyd, Kitty Schneider, Denise Tinquist, Joe Ryan, Christian Baumiller, Dean Harkness, and Judy McAndrew will stay move up to alternate number 1. She was alternate number 2. So we will have an alternate number 2 vacancy that will stay for the year until they find somebody that they'd like to have fill that
So
spot.
keep your ears out for anybody that wants to serve. We'll have a vacancy on HPAC.
Thank you.
The next one is appointments to the Library Board of Trustees. We had one term expiring. That term is going to be moved to a new member. Kathy Riley is her name. And then Nancy I believe, will be sitting as in the mayoral spot. She's going to take that seat herself. Number 9 is authorizing the municipal tax assessor or municipal attorney as agent in filing petitions of appeal or complaint. Number 10 is our cash management plan. Number 11 is the land use board appointments. Land use board, we had terms that were set to expire. Bonnie Lenhart is being renewed. James Balbo is being renewed. Gary Lafredo is being renewed. And Rick Wenger is being renewed. So the board will pretty much stay the same. For our class 1, 2, and 3, Nancy Davis will remain as class 1, Tom Mettle as class 2, and Councilwoman Jamie Baumiller as class 3. 13 is appointing our certifying officer for the Division of Pensions and Benefits. That's Jennifer Klein. I'm the backup. 14 is establishing the 2024 fees for special services for special events, which I don't think changed at all.
No changes.
Okay. 15 is fixing the rate of interest to be charged on delinquent taxes and water. No change over previous years.
Taxes and utilities.
Oh, yes. Taxes, water, and sewer, and utilities. Let's see. Number 16 is identifying our 2024 prosecutor roster. Even though we appoint a prosecutor's office by resolution, they asked us then to go in and clarify who actually from the firm will be representing us. You want to read those off?
Sure. We have Steven Zabarski as the main municipal prosecutor, Brian Wilkie as the alternate number 1, and Barry Stieber as the prosecutor number 2 alternate.
And those are confirmed?
Those are confirmed.
Good. 17 is approving resident requests for additional handicap parking. Mary Claire very diligently went and identified every resident request handicap parking and made contact with them to renew their request. So we're renewing those. We do that annually. 18 is appointing a tax and assessment search officer. 19, authorizing the tax collector conduct an electronic tax sale. 21 is a declaration of our civil rights. 21, establishing fees for tax sale notices. 22 will be adopting a temporary budget, which we will operate under until we adopt our formal budget. 23, designating an authorized signatory for certified lists 200-foot radius. 24, executing an agreement with Regina Lotito for social media marketing services. 25, executing an agreement with Bonnie Wells for website services. 26, authorizing cancellation of tax and water balances below $10. Authorizing execution of a Schedule C agreement with Ocean County to provide road and engineering services for 2023. We did not put money into our Schedule C capital this year. So we have two special projects we're going to be working on. One will be a mill and overlay at 10th Street from Bay Avenue to the westerly end. We do have some money from a previous ordinance we're going to use. And then we will be also milling and overlaying 9th Street at the west end of 9th Street where Delaware meets. It's really the Taylor Avenue parking lot area, but we can't really call it that. This is what the county is willing to help us with. So we do have money budgeted for that as well, to mill and overlay that entire area, then restrike. Where am I? 28, authorizing a change fund for use by various offices. 30 is updating the Emergency Management Council or the Local Emergency Planning Commission. That roster did change a little bit. Hopefully Beverly has contacted the folks that are on there now, but Nancy remains on the Planning Council as mayor, and Mr. McCaffrey has been named as councilman. By the look on your face, you maybe didn't know.
Nope.
We do have meetings scheduled. If I could see that one more time. The Local Emergency Planning Commission meets March 11th is one of the meeting dates, and November 11th. And those meetings are at 5:30. It'll be directly before the council regular meeting. See Beverly if you don't know.
Sure.
31 is authorizing a shared service with Lakewood for truck wash facilities. 32, authorizing a shared service for fire inspection services through Ocean County. And that is it. Do you have any questions for those? That way, when a reorg comes, we can go through them pretty quickly. That's all we have.
There's one other thing I'd like to bring up, and I spoke to you about it,
You might
Sherry.
need your microphone a little better.
Oh, sorry, it's something else, just real quick, and I did speak to Sherry about it, and we've talked about this in the past. But I think it's time, we got a report recently how many summer officers the chief has found so far, and I think we really need to raise the salary
Mhm.
for the summer officers. It's time. I mean, I think everyone on council will agree. We've talked about it, and I also know that the Taxpayers Association has been asking for that as well. So
Yes.
I'd like to talk about that as soon as possible.
Yes, we, myself and the chief have looked at it. We're looking at our current budget to see what we can fit. So we've been running some numbers to see if we can increase the rate without increasing the overall budget.
Right.
Because we've been planning for 30 officers over the past few years, and we know we haven't gotten there. So I think
Yeah.
we can accommodate a good raise within the budget that we have. But as I said in one of my correspondence to you previously, our applications this year are significantly lower than they've been even in the past. So let's keep our fingers crossed that we get some more applicants. And if not, then we need to talk about how we can
How soon can it be?
lower the burden
How
on
soon
them.
could we increase the salary? I mean, I would think that would encourage more applicants.
Does,
I don't know if it works that way or not.
yeah,
but
with, as soon as we,
Seems like,
as soon as we figure out where we want to go, if it fits within the existing budget, then we
Mhm.
just do it.
yeah, okay. All right. So at this time, we're going to open the floor up to public comment. For anyone in the room or anyone on Zoom. So if anyone would like to come forward, state your name and address, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Anybody? Anyone on Zoom? Okay. All right, then final remarks by council. I think we'll start,
Wait, someone raised their hand.
oh, someone raise their hand.
That would correct.
I can't say so.
Deb?
I'm here.
Okay,
Can you hear
did
me,
you want to
Sherry?
speak? Go
Yes.
ahead, state your name and address for the record.
Deb Whitcraft, 528 Dock Road, Beach Haven. When the resolution, not ordinance, it's a resolution, Kitty, was read regarding the Beach Haven Library and its new designation as a museum, which is a wonderful thing. It has some phenomenal archives and documents, and we had a great working relationship with them. But if, as it was mentioned by Kitty in that resolution, it mentions Charles Edgar Nash as the author of The Lure of Long Beach. And I would appreciate very much if that were corrected, because George B. Somerville is the author of The Lure of Long Beach. It was published in
Oh, well,
1914.
Jeanette was wrong. Jeanette told us that. She was wrong.
That was Jeanette, not me.
Thank you
I
very
love-
much, Deb.
Kitty, I
Will
love
you
Jeanette
text me
very
that? Would you
much.
mind texting me that name so I can give it the correct
sure
spelling to
will.
Sherry? And
And I will also tune in Jeanette, but George B. Somerville wrote it in 1914. And in 1936 was the first printing under Charles Edgar Nash, which was a plagiarized version published by the Long Beach Board of Trade. So all the documentation exists on that. And Jeanette knows this, but she would like to forget. But I will remind her. But I would just like to have that corrected so that George B. Somerville gets credit for having been the original author of The Lure of Long Beach. I have his 1914 first edition of this.
I'm sure
That
you
was-
do, and I really appreciate the clarification, and that will be corrected. Thank you.
And I'll let you.
Thank you very much, Deb.
You're welcome,
Thanks.
Kitty.
Thank you. All right. Anyone else? All right, so public comments. You want to start, Jamie?
Not much from me. I just want to wish everybody a happy and healthy 2024. That's it.
Colleen?
Yeah, I would like to say I'm disappointed that we weren't able to table this matter and work with Beach Haven Auto. I hope going forward, we can see improved relations all the way around. I think that'd be very helpful. Also, I want to wish everybody a very happy, healthy, and prosperous new year.
McCaffrey?
Just want to wish everybody a happy new year and make it a safe, happy new year. And I hope everybody had a nice Christmas.
Thank you. I know it's difficult to, this was a difficult decision to have to do this today with regarding Beach Haven Auto, but it doesn't mean that I personally want to keep the channel of communication open. And I look forward to meeting with you as many times as necessary and look forward to the LSRP meetings, and hopefully this can get resolved quickly, and then, we can just get it moving, and then hopefully everyone will be satisfied. Also want to wish everyone a happy new year and a healthy, safe, and happy fun night. Thank you. Have the motion. Oh, Nancy, sorry,
You
Nancy.
forgot me.
I forgot you. I did that last time too. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's all right.
Hindsight,
I'll just make a couple comments. I agree with Kitty. Hopefully we can iron things out with the Beach Haven Auto situation. And hopefully as a town, we can find some grant money that might decrease the cost of remediating this area, that would allow them then to reap more benefits at the sale of the property. I also want to say thank everybody on the council and all our employees, as well as the various people that are on the library board and the land use board, et cetera, for their hard work at donating their time to make our town the wonderful town it is. We are so lucky to live in this community where we have good friendships and we help each other and we have everybody's best interest at heart. Sometimes it doesn't seem that way, but I think we all have the capacity to try to work with each other and understand the different points of view. I'm very proud to be a member of this council, and I'm very happy that I have such a good team around me, as well as the employees that we have here in town. And that being said, I wish everybody a very, very happy and healthy new year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Davis. With no further ado, I call for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you very much. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.